Hi. So my mom is a very strong Black woman who raised her children, myself and my sisters, to have that same sense of strength and pride. And my mom had this philosophy while we were growing up. She used to say, "You can't be what you can't see." And when I was little, I had no idea what that meant. And she didn't have to explain it to me because it was embodied throughout the walls of our small two-bedroom apartment on the south side of Chicago. My mom had surrounded my siblings and I with imagery and stories and music and literature of strong female Black and brown leaders throughout history and present day to show me and my sisters what we had the potential to be, what we could be because we could see that in our everyday lives. And what I didn't realize until I was much older was that my mom was actually preparing us to step out into a world that wasn't accepting of us, that wasn't designed to benefit people who looked like us and came from where we came from, and she wanted to prepare us to succeed. And when I did step out into that world, I was met with racism and discrimination and sexual harassment. And I remember as a young girl, I was so discouraged and overwhelmed by these injustices that I saw happening to myself and to people around me and to different communities, and I so badly wanted to do something about it, to have more of an ability to be involved and take charge. And I also very badly wanted to find another group of young people who felt the same way. And I was able to do that. When I was 18 years old, I started working for an organization called Invisible Children, and they were working towards bringing an end to these genocides that were happening in Central East Africa. And myself and a handful of other 18 to 25-year-olds were put in charge of putting on an international awareness campaign to bring attention to this conflict. And during that time, we mobilized over 100,000 young people to come out to this event. We grabbed the attention of the international community, grabbed the attention of our local policymakers. We successfully passed 2 bills through Congress, and President Obama signed both of those bills into legislation. And this experience for me was the most exhausting, draining, difficult experience of my life, but it also was the most educating and rewarding because it proved to me what young people are capable of. Even though so much of the world tells us otherwise, it proved to me what young people who work their tails off, who are purpose-driven, are actually capable of. And I wanted every young person to know that. I wanted every young woman to know that, even if they didn't believe that of themselves. I wanted them to know that, so I started speaking. I traveled the world and I spoke to audiences of young people at universities and schools and churches, juvenile detention facilities, working with US embassies around the world, trying to encourage young people to be involved in social justice, to take ownership of the privilege that we have to rally and to mobilize, and to realize that no matter what age, you are able to make a difference. Fast forward a few years, on November 9th, 2016, the day after the election, my phone was bombarded with calls and emails and Facebook messages from universities, from students, from parents, from organizers, from policymakers saying, "We have a group of young people, and they're so discouraged, and they're so overwhelmed, and they're angry, and they're sad because of the current state of what's going on in our country and in the world, and because of the divisiveness and the hatred that they're seeing, but they don't know what to do. They don't know how to be involved. They so badly want to, but they don't know how. Help." It was this overwhelming kind of cry for help. And what I realized was that right now, we're in a time that we're yelling at young people and saying, get involved, do something, stay woke, mobilize, resist, which all of those things are desperately necessary right now, and I so believe that. But what we're not doing so often is telling young people how. You know, I, looking back, realized that my entire life was kind of an advocacy training. I didn't realize, but I was brought up learning the skills of advocacy, learning how to advocate for myself and others, and I learned it over the span of 27 years, and it doesn't come overnight. And yet so often we expect young people to just get it and to know how to do that. So I shifted all of my focus into training, and I created an activism training program that I brought to small public schools in the south side of Chicago, and across the pond to US embassies working with university students in Albania and community organizers and activists, training them on the skills of advocacy, training people how to educate yourself, how to spread awareness, how to be a good storyteller, how to organize, and how to make it sustainable. And I especially was focused on young women Because I wanted to tell young girls like myself that no matter what industry you want to pursue, you can be involved in making social change. That you can be a businesswoman, you can be in fashion, you can be a philanthropist. No matter what you do, there is a way that you can use your gifts and your talents and your industry to promote social change. And that you don't have to be just an activist or wealthy or a politician, but it can be anyone, and it actually is our responsibility to make activism more of a lifestyle and less of a responsibility of only a small percentage of people. But training isn't enough. We have to see it. Like my mom said, you can't be what you can't see. And unless young women can see female leaders trailblazing, breaking through glass ceilings, and pushing past barriers, we don't know we can do the same. That's why this conference is so unbelievably amazing, and I wish it could be broadcasted and live streamed to every young woman I've ever met, because you all are doing that. You are illuminating a path forward that so many young women have never seen in their life. And now if they can see that, they know that they can be this too. They know that they can do what you're doing. If the only reason that I know that I have a seat at the table is because I see you sitting at the table. Because I see you owning these tables. I see you flipping these tables, figuratively, of course. If we can invest in investing in and make it a priority to invest in young women and to train young women, and to make it a regular thing, normalize young women seeing examples of females in leadership like yourselves, and if we can make it a priority to use our collective power to amplify the voices of others, that is power redefined. And when we can do that, I firmly believe the young women across the world, from the south side of Chicago to Albania, will be able to stand up and confidently say, my name is Natalie Warne, and I am redefining power. Thank you.